It's not a stretch to say that Fox McCloud is the face of Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Choose your character.
But did you know he was in the original Super Smash Bros. On Nintendo 64 too?
Fox.
Crazy, right? And get this, before that, he was the protagonist of his own extremely obscure series called Star Fox, which consisted of Star Fox for the Super Nintendo and Star Fox 64 for the Nintendo 64. These games are almost entirely on-rail shooters, meaning you travel forward on a set path with the only movement control you have being limited to where you fly horizontally or vertically along said path. In the original Star Fox, you play as Fox, and this shit had super FX, so you know it's a classic. Fox controls the R-Wing, a spaceship equipped with bombs, rockets, and lasers that you use to shoot stuff. Graphically, it's pretty impressive for the time, but the only time you ever see Fox are on the title screen and in these little text boxes. In the reboot for Nintendo 64, they added a bit more variety to the gameplay with the addition of the Landmaster, a tank, and the Blue Marine, a sub. However, you're also able to unlock a special mode for the game's multiplayer that allows you to control Slippy, Falco, Peppy, and Fox on foot. How do you unlock it exactly? First, you kill a certain amount of enemies on each of the 15 levels, which rewards you with a medal. Get all 15 of these medals and you'll unlock Expert Mode, a harder version of the main game where Fox wears sick-ass shades.
I'll go it alone from here.
Get the medal on the last level of Expert Mode and you'll be rewarded with this. Needless to say, it's pretty shit, and wasn't really worth the hassle. But this was the first time anyone ever saw and played as Fox outside of a vehicle, and it foreshadowed Fox's upcoming inclusion as a playable fighter in Super Smash Bros., which was released 2 years later. While most other characters have moves that reference their original games, the developers of Smash 64 made up the bulk of Fox's attacks themselves. Because they didn't really have any references for potential attacks to work with due to the vast majority of his source material being played in a spaceship.
Come on!
So, with the exception of his blaster, which was featured in various renderings of Fox from around Star Fox 64's release, the developers ultimately just came up with a bunch of standard punches and kicks for most of Fox's other attacks. One move in particular that the devs came up with has always struck me as a bit odd, however. His now iconic reflector.
I'll check it out.
I mean, a blue hexagon that reflects things? Why? And how'd they even come up with this? Well, actually, it turns out that this too might have some basis in Fox's source material. In Star Fox and Star Fox 64, you can tap either of the shoulder buttons to do a barrel roll.
Do a barrel roll!
While doing a barrel roll, blue streaks will appear around your ship and you'll reflect incoming lasers away from you. Neat. When making the design for the reflector, my guess is that they wanted something that the players wouldn't confuse with the shield, or at least was easily distinguished from it. So they strayed away from the circular design of the barrel roll's graphic and instead made it pointed, solid blue, and empty in the middle. Boom. The reflector. But, come on. That's not the reflector. That's the shine, baby. It's iconic. And if Fox is the face of Melee, this is the logo. Why do we call it that anyway? It's never been referred to as Shine by the team that worked on Smash, so what gives? You might figure that it comes from the fact that it kind of shines and sparkles when it's out, but you'd actually be wrong. The term originates with the legendary, but often forgotten, Matt "deezie" Dahlgren. deezie is credited as the first person to run an organized tournament series for Super Smash Bros. Melee, Tournament Go, which he began running out of his parents' house in San Jose, California in April of 2002. Because of this, deezie is often considered not only the founder of Melee's competitive scene, but Super Smash Bros. Competitive scene as a whole, since the scene for Smash 64 didn't really take off until a few years after Melee's release. Matt deezie, then 18 years old, came from the Tekken scene, and sought to emulate their scene's competitive nature and environment. He began by advertising Tournament Go on Smashboards, a forum dedicated to Super Smash Bros. Despite his post promoting them, Tournament Go 1 and 2 were small, very small, and capped out at around 6 or 7 entrants each, mostly comprised of deezie's friends and mutuals. And keep in mind that this was only a couple months after the game's release. It wasn't until deezie posted on a separate Smashboards account claiming to be the best player in the world that his tournaments began picking up steam, as more people began entering to prove him wrong. Tournament Go 3's attendance blew his previous numbers out of the water at 50 entrants, with 4 and 5 nearly doubling that amount at 90. With the final Tournament Go in August of 2004, deezie would relocate the series from his parents' house to a school auditorium he rented out of pocket. This last Tournament Go would be the first Smash tournament to ever pass 100 entrants, and in addition, Tournament Go 6 was the first tournament to use the now standardized match ruling of no items, 4 stocks, and 8 minutes. Across these 6 iterations, Tournament Go attracted people from not only across the country, but from Japan and Europe. Its notable entrants would include old school legends such as Ken, Isai, Azin, Captain Jack, and Chudat, among others. Legend has it that Mr. deezie would wear a ridiculous sequin shirt at the tournaments he hosted, and after killing someone with the reflector, which he dubbed the Shine, would flap his shirt around wildly. His antics and the catchy nature of Shine compared to reflector caused it to catch on. deezie would also coin the terms sex kick and chain throw, which would both also go on to become commonly used terms in Smash. After hosting an extremely successful Tournament Go 6, Matt deezie retired from competitive Smash and, fittingly, later went on to work with Capcom in their esports and fighting games department. Many would follow in deezie's footsteps and host their own tournaments, which eventually gave rise to the greater Melee scene as a whole, complete with friendships, rivalries, upsets, and historical moments.
I'm pocket controller, dog! I'm pocket controller! Forfeit, my nigga! He forfeits! He forfeits!
And 16 years later, it's still going strong.
Insane! Insane! Takes Genesis 7 to...
It's been a long time since the last Tournament Go and deezie's departure from the scene, and all I can say is, thanks, Matt. You changed not only my life and not only competitive Melee players' lives, but competitive Smash 64 players, Brawl players, Smash 4 players, and Ultimate players. If not for the fact that we call this little blue hexagon Shine instead of Reflector, then for the fact that you're the creator of one of the biggest fighting game scenes in the world. If Fox is the face of Melee and Shine is the logo, then Matt deezie Dahlgren is the soul.